Dereta, dereta, dereta. Stop, stop, stop. Okay, okay. Hop, 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 hop. No le move. Asparagus.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Stephanie and welcome back to my channel. So in the video of today for this week, I'm going to be talking about the GRE. So whether the GRE is required for PA school applications and the advice I have on whether you should take it or not for PA school applications, and also what I did the 2 times I applied to PA school in regards to the GRE. So I wanted to discuss this question because it was a question I kept having come up on some of the comments on some of my YouTube videos, and it was also a question that I had before applying to PA school. So the GRE, what is the GRE? So the GRE is a graduate exam that is required for a lot of graduate schools. For example, PA school is a graduate school, so that's why they do require the GRE. Now, currently, the majority of PA schools do require the GRE, although there are some PA schools that do not require the GRE. So it really is up to you to what school you want to apply to. If you want to apply to the school that you have in mind and that school does not require the GRE, then don't take it. But in my opinion, the advice that I have for you is to take the GRE. The reason is that you want to apply to as many schools as you can, as you want to. Being that PA school is getting competitive with every year, and I'm seeing that with the number of applications that my school is receiving, that just schools in general are receiving, is increasing in comparison to past years. And then some schools are also increasing their requirements, or they're requiring some extra courses, certain GPA, certain science GPA, and also a GRE score of usually higher than 300. So that's why it's really important for you to take the GRE, in my opinion, and also to apply to as many schools as you can. That way you have a higher chance of getting into PA school. When I applied, and this was in 2017, I remember that the average number of schools that PA students apply to, or students that want to become physician assistants, was around 6 or 7, and that's an average per student. So that's a lot of schools. And like I said, the more schools you have and the more schools you apply to, the higher chance you have of getting in. And not only that, the higher chance you have of obtaining interviews and obtaining multiple acceptances. And if you have multiple acceptances, that way you can choose what PA school you want to attend, rather than only receiving, for example, one PA school acceptance and you really didn't want to go to that school, but now since you only have that single acceptance, then you have to go to that school. So having multiple applications to multiple schools, you can get multiple acceptances, and that way you can choose what school you want to apply to. And this is done if you take the GRE. So that's the reason why I took the GRE before I applied to PA school. Now, I did apply 2 times. The first time I took the GRE, I didn't do very well. Second time, to be honest with you, I didn't do well either. My score increased only by a few points. It didn't increase dramatically. But thankfully, I had a lot more things on my application that helped overlook that GRE score. And also on top of that, I did apply to multiple schools. So I applied to 15 schools. I received several interviews, and I was able to interview at those schools, and I was able to choose the school I wanted to attend based on the acceptance that I had gotten. So that's why I really, really recommend you to take the GRE if you can. Now, there is a website. It's called www.paschoolfinder.com, and this is what I used. And for that, you can actually filter no GRE required, and it'll show you the schools that are current and that do not require the GRE. So if you don't want to take the GRE, you can apply to those schools, and they don't require the GRE. So the first time I applied to PA school, I applied to both schools that did not require the GRE and to schools that did require the GRE. Now, I did apply to more schools that did not require the GRE, and this was because of the score I had gotten. So I still did send them my GRE score, just in case if they were curious. And one of the schools that I got an interview at that did not require the GRE did not ask me any questions in regards to my GRE score. So I just sent it to them as a courtesy in case they wanted to know how I had done, etc. But overall, my advice is for you to take the GRE if you can. Take the GRE once. If you don't do well, then retake it again, because like I said, PA school is getting more competitive as the years come. There's more applicants to the schools. And on the bright side though, there's a lot of schools that are opening up. And like for example in Texas, there's a new PA program also. And just in general, there's a lot of new PA programs that are being made, so you're able to also apply to those. But in general, do take the GRE. That way you can apply to more schools and you have a higher chance of getting accepted into PA school. In addition, if you don't get accepted the first time into PA school and your GRE score was very competitive, then you can apply the second time and you can submit that same GRE score. So that's why it's really good to take that GRE before you apply to PA school. Now, if you decide not to take it, then you can choose the schools that do not require the GRE. But say if you want to stay in state, you don't want to go out of state, then your choices are limited because of the schools that do not require GRE. Some that can be out of state. For example, in my case, I don't think there was any schools in Texas that did not require the GRE, so I ended up applying to schools out of state also. Since the majority of the schools in Texas did require the GRE. Alright guys, so that's just my advice in regards to the GRE. If you can, once again, take the GRE, that way you can apply to more schools. And if you want to still, you can apply to both schools that do not require the GRE and do require the GRE. And to be able to do this, make sure you go to paschoolfinder.com and research the schools that do not require the GRE before you apply. And that's another tip that I can tell you. It's very important, is to research the schools before you apply to them. That way you can ensure that you have the appropriate GPA, the appropriate GRE score that they're looking for, prerequisites, etc. And some schools are changing their prerequisites as the years come, so make sure you're also up to date. Some schools that did not require the GRE are now requiring the GRE, so that's why it's really important to research the schools. Alright guys, thanks for watching my videos, and as always, if you guys have any comments, any feedback for me, make sure you comment below, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.